you're both well, guys. Just before I start, Deon, can I just say I saw your $10,000 basketball shot the other day. Just wanted to, could you just run me through that celebration? What was going through your mind at that moment?
Yeah, man, listen, I think that's a once in a lifetime moment, you know? It was incredible, man. I can't, and you know what's crazy? It's been like 4 days now. And every day I have a moment where I'm going like, damn, that was crazy. You know what I mean? Because I know I could shoot, but I knew I would hit. My kids were there, my little boys was there, my daughter was there, my wife was there. It was like, and 50 Cent it was like this big moment. And I was like saying to myself, now I know I'm gonna make the layup, the free throw, and I said, I know I can hit the three-pointer. But I told my son, I said, the half-court shot, I don't know if Dad gonna be able to hit that one, man. And sure enough, man, it was a learning moment for me because, you know, all of it happened at once, and I got the trifecta, which later was a learning moment for me and my son, where I told him, man, anything is possible. You know what I mean? And now he could actually see that visually with me that night. It was really fun.
And using that as a kind of segue into my next question, I was going to ask you guys, based on this movie, what's your kind of biggest fear? Obviously, Deon, for you, it's not shooting a hoop in front of a big crowd full of people. But like for you guys, are there any fears that you've had to tackle in your careers and your lives that you've kind of overcome?
Yeah, I think for me, the fear for this industry is the fear of failure. And as an entertainer, as a content creator, as a filmmaker, you have to overcome that fear of failure and rejection. You're going to get 1,000 no's before you get one yes, and you just have to keep going off of faith. And that's what this movie is. It's faith over fear. You have to keep going off of that faith that one yes will be the yes that you need.
Yeah, mine would be, I've said this a few times, time. I am very afraid of time, and not time like I got to be somewhere on time, but time like I want to be here for my kids and, you know, live my life. I want to have a full life. And that's something that be in the back of my head all the time. But I think a more, you know, in your face fear when I first started was acceptance. Hollywood is a very interesting place where as a filmmaker or an actor or entertainer or writer, you want people to accept you into their clique. You know what I mean? You want the guild to say, "Oh my God, he's great. Bring him in." You know what I mean? And you want the actor community to be like, "Oh yeah, he's a great actor." And then I realized, man, like you can't live like that. That's a fear because when they don't accept you, you feel broken. You feel like you're not part of. You don't feel as good as. You know what I mean? And that's something you have to overcome. So as a filmmaker, I've had to like cut my teeth and become my own man, my own director, my own writer, and be my biggest fan based on the fact that I've always understood you can't be accepted by everyone. So that was a fear originally for me.
Andrew, going back, because you sort of mentioned about a fear of failure. I mean, your career has been anything but that. It's remarkable, really. You've constantly pushed yourself and evolved as a comedian. You utilize new social media platforms in a way few others have kind of been able to. I was just wondering, like now, obviously acting, if you meet someone for like the first time, how would you describe yourself as an actor, as a comedian? Do you even put yourself in any boxes in that way?
No, I don't. I kind of consider myself just an artist, you know, and look at someone who does paintings. You know, it's you start with a blank sheet and you put some stuff on it and then you turn that in. So for me, I define myself as an artist where I start something with a blank slate. If I have to write it, I'll write it. If I have to direct it, I'll direct it. If I have to act in it, I'll act in it. But at the end of the day, my job is to hand in the final product. So that's how I define myself, just as an artist.
And just very finally, before I finish, Deon, I was going to ask you about creating a kind of horror movie or films in that kind of genre, because I'm just wondering if you're a fan of the genre, and if you think that having made it and kind of sort of pulled back the curtain and kind of, you know, seen the kind of mechanics of what makes things scary, has it affected your relationship with the genre as an audience member, would you say?
No, man. I think I cut my teeth. The first two movies I ever made were horror films. I've always been a gigantic fan of the genre. I remember a long time ago, my first interview was actually with bloodydisgusting.com. You know what I mean? That's the first people to ever interview me. But yeah, I love this genre. But what I found most recently is that horror has now transcended into all forms of cinema. Black and Blue was a horror movie. Traffic was a horror movie. I think where, art imitates life and things become to mesh into one thing, that genre has become so transparent and so dope and so loud that you could have a Get Out, you know what I mean, over here. You could have a X or a Pearl over here, you know what I mean? You could have a Smile over here, and then you could have a Fear. But I think all these movies have allowed us to now evolve into this place. It's kind of like an NBA player. You're like, well, no, the point guard is supposed to do that now. It's the center running the point. You know what I mean? It's evolved into this thing where it's like, wow, it is all messed up. And I think when you go see Fear, you'll understand what I'm trying to pitch you, which is there's a very, very complicated, deep social message in Fear. It is a very clear picture of what we're trying to say, but it is wrapped into this very fun commercial theatrical film that you're going to be like, yo, this shit is crazy. It's got all that in there. So we're just excited about it.
Cool. Well, congratulations on the film, guys, and best of luck with the release of the movie.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey, you guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.